So, if you had two hands, you'd put a hand here, and then this other hand would open it up. And I just wanted to show how it... Now, this was just sort of revolutionary, and I just thought the coolest thing. So, it opens up like that, and then it swivels. And it closes like this. So, the cool thing about this, it stays in there like that. And you don't worry about it tipping over, whatever. It's very sturdy. Which is the same is true about this. It's very sturdy. But, as you notice, you can't stack it because it doesn't snap in place. But that's fine. It's not going to tip either. It's very sturdy. And the cool thing about it is, that snaps together. The magnet part snaps together. It's a very sturdy magnet. So, this is cool if you're painting, because if you smush just put a little pressure here, the ink to the base, then the ink will come off in the pad, which is perfect for watercoloring. Or if you've got one of those little, one of the blender pens for watercoloring, the watercolor pen, it's just a solid pen. I don't have it with me right now, unfortunately, but it blends very well with the watercolor pencils. If you watch any of my watercolor pencil tutorials, you'll see where I was using that little pen. You can use this to paint directly into your stamps or just directly in your paper if you wanted to write with it. Now, I think you noticed when this was apart, that snap, see, all that ink. So, you could still paint with this. I mean, that was fun. We've known about that a while, but it's a little bit more convenient than the other. And if you've got arthritis, or I don't have arthritis yet, thankfully, but some of the ink pads are harder to open than others for whatever reason. So these are all going to be easier to open, so no problem opening. And when we get our new storage space that's coming out soon, it released in the current idea book, it will fit all these ink pads. Now, they're meant to go like this, so the ink's stored upside down. So that's one of the reason it flips, is so the ink is upside down, and that just makes sure that the ink is always toward the surface, so you get a best stamp each time. So I'm going to show what these different ones look like stamped, so you can see that there's no difference in the quality of the inks. It's just from one pad to another. It's just the packaging is different, and that packaging is nice. I'm also going to show you this pigment ink so you can see how that is. I got an image, picked up an image that's more solid, because I think it'll show it off better. I love this stamp set. It's called Love Your Face Sentiments, and I absolutely love it. So I'm going to use these, and I'll use the exact same stamp and show how that is. I don't know if I've ever said this in a previous video, and I don't think I have, but this is our, forgot what it's called, but it's a, I may have to look it up. But this pad has these nice grid lines, and it lets you line it up when you're assembling your card, which is perfect. But if you flip it over, it's got a great foam surface. It's sturdy, and so it gives you a better surface to stamp. And then you use a little foam that's in here, and it's even better. So I'll show that next. Okay. So I decided to do the Love Your Face. And because I'm doing this one-handed, because I'm holding the camera, very sloppily inking it up. I was going around to make sure I didn't have any, because I think I tilted the stamp. But this stamp, it inked it really well. I've used this stamp set before, so it's probably why it inks so well, because it's already conditioned. But it says Love Your Face, and helps if you don't have anything in the way. Sorry about that. Wow. Guess I didn't use this stamp after all. You're supposed to rub it on your hand if you've never used it before. We'll just line that back up. Sorry. Most of the time you won't be stamping one-handed while holding a camera. Unless you like to do video tutorials like I do. Almost perfect. Now I'm going to do the next. Okay. So since I stamped and I re-inked, you'll see this is a lot darker. That's really cool because that gives you the ability to make a darker shade just by stamping it the same color again. Same family. So here it is, just stamped once since I thought the stamp was conditioned and I was wrong. So I just stamped it again so you can see the different color, and the pigment ink and the ink pad look different because this is a brighter, lighter color since it's a little different. So also clean the stamp with our stamp cleaner. See how it kind of sits on top. You can't see as clear through it because it's opaque. I'm going to use my finger to clean that up real quick because since I'm doing it one-handed, I kind of smeared it. Okay. Oh, so pretty. It's a little lighter than the other ink pad, but that's fun. I like the tone difference. Oh, just to show you, this is the same ink. It's just a pigment ink blossom. And I was telling you about the chalk effect. You can kind of slightly smear it. It's not coming up really well, but you can see it smears off on my hand a little, whereas this is completely dry. And this is completely dry. See, my finger's perfect. But you can still see it on here. So, the cool thing about it is if you had some clear embossing powder, you could just dump it on right now, shake it off, heat set it with your heat gun, and this would make this raised. But I'm going to go with the just normal, letting that dry. So, you could either cut it out, or it could be kind of an ombre effect. And I guess I'll go for the ombre effect, which I really wasn't thinking this out very clearly because I would have done the smoothie color under because I believe it's a little darker than the blossom, but that's okay. I'm going to clean my ink pad and I'll be right back. I left a little water on this. As you can see, the pigment didn't hurt it at all. It's perfect. It's perfect. So, I'll try to line it up since I lined that other up pretty good. Right there. Yeah, it's a lot darker, but that's okay. It looks really cool. I think I'm going to put a little of the pigment over. Let's try stamping the pigment ink over that dye ink and see what it looks like. Now, this is the first time I've ever gotten to experience the new ink pad, because it wasn't even available at convention. That means it took a while to get it manufactured. So I've never tried to put pigment over the dye ink. So I'm not really sure how this effect's gonna happen, but let's see. So that's cool. You may not be able to see it really well on camera, but there's little edges that are slightly lighter. I think that's really pretty, and you can see where that water made a mess. I didn't say this earlier, but this is just standard this is just standard paper, regular paper. This isn't even craft paper or anything. It's just regular old paper. Okay, we'll try to stamp this. Oh, wait, what is this? Yeah, sorry. Forgot what I was doing. I was going to stamp with the darker color here and just see. Since I didn't wash it off good, you can tell that it's not perfect. But I'm not going for perfect. I'm just going for the effect. Okay, cool. So, I don't know if you know this, but you can stamp the lighter into the darker, and that'll make a different color too. Since Blossom's a new color, this is the first time I've ever used it other than the ink pad. I tried out all the ink pads once I got them. The, the pigment ink pads. Okay, so, doesn't look much different, but when we add the pigment ink to it, it'll look different. And I don't know if you can tell, but I really goofed when I was stamping. But that's okay, because it made a shadow effect, and it really looks cool. And I would just cut that out, and that would be background. I like background paper. So that is how it looks like for stamping. Let me go grab a watercolor brush and show you what it looks like for watercoloring. Okay, all I've done is dipped a brush in water. And I'm going to water this with this watercolor paper. Here is Smoothie. This is Blossom. See how pretty you can make a watercolor effect with the ink? That's pretty. Okay, so got another brush dipped in water. And I'm just going to when I wetted the paper first, it made the paper, it made the water move more, but it also diluted that color some. And now I put it on the dry so you'd have a little darker, and then I could rub it in and take in a little bit more color. You can just make that even darker. Now, if you go onto tools on my website, you can find the ink blending pen for the watercolors. All these inks are pH balanced and acid free, so it works great for any paper project. So there it is on watercolor paper. The watercolor paper is just a little bit thicker and just gives you a little bit better medium, and you can brush directly on the ink pad, make it a little darker. But the thing is, you don't want it to be streaky. So, and that dries, that's going to be really pretty. So now I'm going to show what it looks like with the ink blending pen. This is what you're looking for. So you go to the website, you'll see it. It's for watercolor. It's got a brush tip, and it's got a kind of a smaller marker tip. See it right there. And there's the brush tip. Okay, I'm going to just put these back together, smush it some. Now you can see I had some ink left over here, but I didn't really smush this hard the first time. I love that I can do it with one hand. Awesome, so I didn't even have to pause the video at all. Alright, I'm going to use the brush tip. And I'm going to pick up some of the watercolor, and I don't know what I'll use it for, so I'm just going to go. And you can use this one on regular paper if you want to. See the cool line he gives? If you were coloring in something you stamped, it'd be really pretty. And, well, I didn't even mention this before, but look. Say you want to add a little detail and definition to what you stamped. How cool is that? How cool is that? Adding just a little bit of detail makes that look just a little different. Really have fun and make this your own. Oh, and I didn't show this. Let me show it now. I think I've shown this on another video. All you do once you need to get rid of the ink. I've done this with the watercolor pencils. Unfortunately, we don't have Blossom in the watercolor pencils. They've got older colors. They all work together very well. But this is a way to get the watercolors in all the colors. Let me just show. This is the smoothie. We'll go into this one, the one on the left. And color in that some because I didn't put any of the pigment ink over it. And where it was a little wet, as you can see, it was